Howdy, what's going on, you guys? Welcome to the video for Tower Fantasy. My name is AbyssatNacia. What's good with you? Alright guys, in this Tower Fantasy video guide, I'm going to give you a few tips to raise your critical attack, both your crit rate and your critical damage, and how to overall just do more crits. Now really quickly, before I get into that, if you're new here, please sub to the channel with all notifications turned on so you don't miss a video. And after this video is over, if it was helpful to you, come on back to my YouTube channel and check out some more of the guides that I've made, because I've helped a ton of people with a ton of guides. Alright, so what is crit and how do you get it? Well, let's just take a look at my character sheet. If you go to your wanderer, you're going to have three stats for crit. There's going to be the one stat that's just labeled crit, and it's going to have a certain number on it. It says to crit, or if I have a 58.8% chance to crit when attacking the same level opponent, and then you have your crit rate, increases the overall chance of triggering a crit, and then you have the crit damage, which is just your crit damage multiplier. Now a lot of you, probably mostly all of you, are gonna have nothing in this slot right here. I know last night before I made this video, I did not have anything in this slot. I could have had something in this slot all along, but I just didn't know it. And if you don't know it, I mean, knowing's half the battle. So how do you get something in this slot? Well, that is simple and hard at the same time. Go to your backpack, and if you look over at my visor, my Fortress Tactics eyepiece, I have one that has 3 crit stats on it. There is the base stat that has a crit score, and then we have an enhancement unlocked that has the crit because I have the enhancement of the equipment unlocked, and then we have random stats. It says crit rate 1.5%. This is what you are looking for whenever you get a Fortress Tactics eyepiece. Looking at my Fortress Tactics eyepiece collection, I have like 5 of these things, and only 2 of them so far have crit rate on. This first one, it only has just crit for a base stat. This one only has crit as a base stat, and then this one right here actually has crit rate as a random stat. Now this isn't the same one that I'm using, because the same one I'm using is equipped right here. It has a crit rate of, you know, whatever, HP. So this is the one that I'm using, and this is the second one. It's ideally that you want to find a visor that has crit rate on it and crit attack, and possibly the same element that you're using, and that's going to be the grind of the game, is trying to always find the perfect piece of gear. Like ideally on my Volt build, I'll want a visor eyepiece that has, you know, the crit stat and a random stat for crit rate, and then something that has Volt damage on it. That's the ideal stat, but failing that, you're definitely going to look for a visor that has crit rate on it. And then I have this other visor right here that doesn't have any crit rate. So you have a very small chance, because the crit rate on the visor is extremely rare. Now, I know the next question that you're probably going to be asking is, well, how do I farm these visors so I have a better chance of getting crit rate? Well, that's a good question. Let's just take a look. Alright, so there are a few ways to get yourself a Fortress Tactics eyepiece in the game, and one of the ways is that I want to show you first is going to appointed research, and then you're going to go to deep sea exploration, you go down to monitoring, and you're going to scroll all the way over to AbyssatNacia. And every phase of AbyssatNacia, at least from what I've completed up to phase 3, has a number of Fortress Tactics eyepiece shards, and you need 40 shards to get yourself a full tactics eyepiece. All right, so this is kind of how you farm them. All right, so like at phase 1, I do believe you get 10 shards. Yeah, it says 10 shards down there. You can't really see it. It says claimed because I've already claimed it, but it's kind of covered up, but it says 10 shards down there. And then for phase 2, there's another 10 shards as well. Phase 3, it's going to be another 10 shards. And then I imagine at phase 4 or 5, they're going to be more shards. I haven't unlocked it yet, and if you have unlocked it, just let us know down in the comments what those 2 phases say. Another way that you can get yourself a Fortress Tactics eyepiece is by doing the ongoing event that's going on right now. So let's go check out the event, an extended summer. If you go to the store, in this little store, you'll see a bunch of different items, and in one of those items, I've already bought mine for the amount that I've spent, is a Fortress Tactics eyepiece. You can see it right there. It's kind of blacking out. I'll probably zoom in on it for the editing, but I got mine for 1,500, and that's how you can get another Fortress Tactics eyepiece as well. And another very common way to get yourself a Fortress Tactics eyepiece is to come to the Space-Time store and purchase one. You have a weekly limit of 20 shards of these things that you can get. So basically, to get to the Space-Time store, you're just going to press your options button and go to the commissary, and then you're going to scroll down to Space-Time store, and then there you go. It looks like the currency that you need to spend to get that Fortress Tactics eyepiece shard are these, the space-time crystal fragments, right? So it looks like I have a number of these space-time crystal fragments. I've got 22. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and press R2 and buy 2 fragments. It's all that I can get right now. Purchase that. It's going to give me 4 shards per and I think I may actually have enough shards now to create another one. No, I actually don't. I only have 12 shards right now, and I need a little bit more shards so I can get that. So I'll be trying to farm those space-time crystal fragments so I can get more of those. And one final way that I can tell you on how to get these Fortress Tactics eyepieces, it can be a little bit costly because you're going to spend some actual money to do it and like pay to win sort of way. But if you go to the limited gifts, they have a lot of these things that sometimes will have Fortress Tactics eyepieces. As a matter of fact, my first time getting these extra pieces of equipment was buying one of these packs. So you have a Fortress Tactics eyepiece there, Fortress Micro Reactor there, Fortress Exoskeleton there, and you just spend 680 titanium. There's a weekly pack 3. This one's sort of the same thing, and I think there might be like one more. You just have to sort of go through and check and see which ones have what in them, but those are definitely well worth the money to get those. All right, so what's another way that you can raise your crit? Well, we're gonna go back to our backpack, and we're going to look at another piece of armor, and specifically we're taking a look at the Fortress Handguards. I think any handguards are going to have crit on them, but whenever you get a Fortress Handguards, that's going to be the gold gear. Whenever you get it, you're going to want to make sure that this piece of equipment in particular has 2 crit stats on it, for the base stat as well as the random stat. You will often hear people in the game chat, or maybe that you talk to, they'll say something like they rolled on a pair of gloves and they got a bad roll, or they rolled on a pair of gloves and they got a good roll. What that basically means is they came here to the commissary and the crystal dust store and they purchased a pair of Fortress Handguards, and when they purchased it, they either got a set that has a random stat that they're looking for, or random stats they're looking for, or the random stats were not what they're looking for. I can't tell you how many crystal dust energy I've spent in this store trying to get the perfect stats for my gear, stats that have crit and also the right element, stats that just have the right element, you know, that sort of thing. Another armor piece that gives crit in your backpack that you're going to want to look for is going to be your boots, your Fortress Sabatons. I guess that's a weird word. Usually these Fortress Sabatons, they have a chance for random stats to have crit, and these are going to be the only other piece of armor that has the chance of having random stats for crit on them. So actually, I can go right now and show you. I am in the middle of putting together a frost armor set, and I don't have boots, and I've been missing boots, and I need boots that have crit on them. So I'm going to go right now to the commissary live with you on this video and purchase boots so you can see exactly what the whole process looks like. So I have 2,750 crystal dust energy, and I'm going to purchase these boots, and it looks like I will have enough for one more pair of boots after this if this pair of boots does not have what I'm looking for. So I'm just going to go to my backpack. I'm going to go down to the equipment, and I'm going to go and select the boots that I just purchased, these right here, and I'm going to check the stats and see if they have crit. And lucky for me, these boots have crit on them as a random stat. So this is not the best roll because it doesn't have a frost damage element, because I want to have boots that have frost. But if it doesn't have your frost element or whatever element you're trying to get for, but it does have that crit, that's still good because crit takes precedence over everything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to equip these boots, and now my frost boot set is sort of complete, unless later on down the line randomly somehow I just do a weird random pull and I do get a set of boots that have frost and crit on them for the damage. But strictly speaking, or you know, this is a win in my book. I have crit on the boots. You don't always get the random stat of crit, so take it when you can get it. And one final way that I can tell you about how to get more crit on your character is just using specific weapons and weapon chips that do increase your crit. So I have right now on my Rebelia, I've been using the Crow chipset, and the Crow chipset, the 2-piece set, says increase crit damage to targets with less than 60% HP by 24%, and then the 4-piece set says crits deal additional damage over time equal to 18% of attack every second for 5 seconds, does not stack. So if you are trying to get crit, what you're going to want to do is definitely invest in your Crow chipset. And actually, they made a really great way for you to get Crow chipsets. You can actually farm Crow chipsets in the artificial island if your artificial island buildings are like leveled up enough, or you can fight Sobek. Sobek, when you defeat him, sometimes he has an opportunity to drop the Crow chipsets. And if you don't know who Sobek is or where Sobek is, I'll just bring up my map. He's in Asperia. And Sobek is going to be this boss right here. You fight him, you unlock his box, and there is a good chance that you'll get Crow chipsets. All the Crow chipsets that I got so far were from the Sobek box. All right, so as a quick recap, I'm just going to go over a couple things really quickly, and then I'm just going to end. All right, so when you're looking at your stats, you're going to have to raise this crit score, and the way that you do that is getting those specific armor pieces that do raise your crit. You don't necessarily have to have a visor that has crit rate on it, because you're always going to have a number of crit rate if your crit damage or your crit score is just high enough, and you just get armor pieces that increase your crit. But for a certainty, you're going to want to look for that visor that has crit rate on it, and then once we get around level 80, we'll be able to augment our gear, and I'm not sure exactly what goes on there, but I've been told that we can give ourselves more crit rate with gear augmentation. So, but for right now, if you want to raise your crit, all you got to do, man, is just get those pieces with crit on them and then enhance those pieces, and then when you go to level those pieces up, be sure to use your data repeaters to increase your odds of raising the crit score. All right? So that's going to be it for this video. If it was helpful, do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button and leave me a comment down below if you have any questions, and if you have any additional information in a very polite way, very constructive way, go ahead and leave it down in the comments, especially if I left anything out. I would really love to hear about it, and I'll probably pin your comment if you want to leave a paragraph or two about the whole crit thing so you can explain it a little bit more in depth, maybe fill in some blanks that maybe I might have missed. I think I tried to simplify it as much as I can for people who are probably like me to just want to get like the it of it. You can definitely fill in those blanks with a paragraph, and I'll pin that comment. And if you are looking for more information on it, definitely go down into the comments and check for that pinned comment, because I'm pretty sure somebody will give me some extra information on it. All right, guys, so thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Peace out.